Okay, so let's look at this concept of how we can now practically apply some of these elements into your life now. So we're going to look at movement, nutrition, and stillness, because they all are very important. Because think about it, your body is made to move, but it's also made to rest and be still. The body needs movement to cultivate energy. Yeah, think about it, when you don't move your body much, how much energy do you have? If you move your body too much though, it can also take away energy. Stillness is really important for the mind as well. So we need to look at that. And also what we're putting into our body is super important, because whatever you're putting into your body is either nourishing you, yeah, cultivating more energy, or it's taking energy away. So we need to look at that. So let's delve into this. So realize this, ladies and gentlemen, we are all living in a primal body in a modern day world. When we look at the evolution of mankind, we haven't really changed physiologically all that much since when we first were hunter-gatherers. So everything we do is still based at some level on instincts, fight or flight responses. And also we have like these psychological needs that are usually working from a place of towards motivation or away from motivation. Towards motivation is pleasure, away from motivation is pain, okay? So the human body on a fundamental level is built for survival, movement, and reproduction. Survival of the species, survival of you, and obviously the reproduction of the human species at a fundamental level. It's important to start at the base and we can work up from there. It's three fundamental elements these three fundamental elements actually affect us still in our day-to-day life now. So we actually can learn a lot by going back to basics, and we live in a consumerism world, which is always trying to sell us the magic bullet, you know, the silver bullet, so to speak, to get the quickest results. But ultimately, when you go back to basics, the human body is set up in a certain way, and it's to move in a certain way and to nutrition ourselves in a certain way. So we can gather a lot by how we live naturally. So I think you'll find this quite interesting. So let's break down what even is food. If we look at plants, they photosynthesize from the sun to gain energy. As human beings, we eat the plants, or we eat the animals that eat the plants. And food into our body is measured as energy in. So food, energy in. And this is measured in calories or kilojoules, micronutrients. And when we look at movement, that's energy out. So quite simply, the way we actually measure energy out, again, is in calories or kilojoules, but also we can do that in heart rate as well. So based upon heart rate will tell us, you know, over a period of time, roughly how many calories we burn in that period of movement. So here's the thing. If you've got less energy coming into your body than what's going out of your body, you will lose weight, period. But you have to do it consistently over a period of time, of course. But if you do it in an unhealthy way, then what tends to happen is your body goes into like this survival mode where you'll start to eat bigger portion sizings of food and stuff like that as well, because it thinks that food is in scarcity. So your body will trick you to try and get you to actually start eating more food, because it's built for what? The fundamentals, survival. So we need to make sure that if we're wanting to lose a bit of body fat, we actually just simply need to either, dare I say it, eat less, or have less, well, not necessarily eat less, but eat more, nourishing foods that are going to, means you can eat more nourishing foods usually than if you eat lots of crap, because that's usually going to be high in calories anyway. But you can either eat less food or you can move more. Generally, a combination of both is perfect, right? So when we look at the nutrient needs of a human, why do we need to make sure we got a really good balanced diet? Is we really want to make sure that we have all the micronutrients that we need for everything to be operating at its best, essentially, psychology, physiology. What's really important as a human being, we have to understand that what we primarily work best on is fats and carbohydrates. So fats and carbohydrates is what the body has learned over time to run the most efficiently on. When I say that, it's able to break down fats and carbohydrates really quickly. That energy is really easily available to the body. When we're doing more sort of explosive type activity, it's more the sugars in the bloodstream. When we're doing more longer duration sort of activities that might go for around 30 to 40 minutes, where we're operating at a slightly higher heart rate, where we might just be able to keep conversation with someone, or doing, say, more resistance training, probably you'll be using more carbohydrates that are stored in the muscles. When we're looking at fats, that's what we usually are utilizing when we're, say, doing what we're doing today, which is sitting on our butt. But at the same time, you're burning calories by thinking. And this is actually scientifically proven. We had a guy in our last NLP training that wore his heart rate monitor, and the more high-level thinking that you do, the more calories you're actually burning. The more that you're engaging yourself in those activities and also your emotions, also the more calories you're burning too. So it's not just moving your body that's going to burn calories. By learning, by breathing in a certain way, you're also burning calories while just you're resting. But fats is the primary source of energy that we use there. So obviously these things help us with growth and muscle repair, and also they help with our vitality. So we need to make sure that we're also drinking plenty of water, because it's what our body is mainly made up of as well. So when we look at metabolic rate, we all are given a certain metabolic rate in terms of our gene structure. There's people here in this group that, you could literally look at a cheeseburger and you put on weight. Sounds stupid, but we also know people that could eat like 5 cheeseburgers every day of the week and they still stay lean. And the reason for that is just naturally the genetics of their metabolism. And you'll find over time, as you're younger, your metabolism, especially as a child, is quite fast usually, but over time it starts to slow down. So we can absolutely alter our metabolic rate based upon moving our body. Moving our body is a really important one, and eating more fiber. So the more sort of green veggies and leafy greens and stuff like that you can put into your diet, vegetables is great for that. That's going to increase your fiber massively, and having more low GI carbohydrates also will increase your fiber and will actually increase your metabolic rate as well, which means you're going to burn more calories while you're resting. And which is why it's really important. We want to move our body every single day. Now, we live in a world where technology is taken over, and we don't have to move that much really if we don't want to. We don't even need to go to work anymore by commuting to work, for God's sake. We can pretty much work from a laptop. So we need to create movement in our day. I don't mean every day smashing yourself in the gym. What I mean is like break it up and mix it up. Some days you might go for just a small walk. Some days you might do a yoga practice. Some days you might go for a swim. Some days you might go for a run. Some days you might go do some dancing. Some days you might hit the gym, whatever that might be. But try to aim for at least 6 days a week that you're moving your body, because your body actually is going to break down micronutrients differently based upon the movement that you have on a daily basis. And also, when you move your body, it releases serotonin and dopamine as well, and it helps with your digestion, which serotonin and dopamine are like the feel-good sort of chemicals that you experience in your body and in the mind. So the more you have of those, the more motivated you feel, and obviously that's a flow-on effect to energy in the body as well. So when we have an unbalanced diet, this is a bit of a self-reflection of everyone right now, you'll have these symptoms, okay? Usually the body will affect your body. You might feel you're always quite unbalanced emotionally or mentally. You'll have electrolyte imbalances, which are associated with the nervous system. So you might feel a little bit like dopey, or a little bit like hard to be able to make decisions or potentially coordinate your body. You'll usually get sick all the time or fairly often. You'll have like mental health, like I spoke about before. You'll sort of be up and down in terms of your mental health. Poor brain function, it'll be a bit foggy. Poor exercise capabilities. Your insulin resistance will tend to be quite low when you don't move your body or have an unbalanced diet as well. So when you'll basically eat and you'll feel really tired afterwards, and then you'll feel pretty good for a bit, and then you'll feel really flat again. So it's sort of like your energy levels are just going up and down, up and down. You have usually indigestion and heartburn as well, and your sleep is really poor if you have an unbalanced diet. So if you have any of these things happening, there could be other things happening as well, but it probably means that you need to smarten up your diet a little bit. And also look at your alcohol consumption too. Alcohol, especially in the evenings, is going to give you the shittest night's sleep ever. A nightcap doesn't actually make you sleep better, actually keeps you more awake. So just be aware of that and really trying to reduce that as well. So one thing that I'm a big believer in, and even if you look at us as hunter-gatherer species, we didn't have a fridge that we could just open, in the morning, mid-morning. lunchtime, mid-afternoon, dinner. Like sometimes we wouldn't probably eat for, you know, maybe days at a time. It's natural and normal for your body to do that. And it actually takes a lot of energy for your body to break down food. So pretty much every esoteric teaching, a lot of teachings, even in Ayurveda or other Eastern sort of cultures, they have some form of fasting because it gives your body the ability to have a break from digesting food. It actually raises your immunity. It increases your energy levels. It gets you working, burning more your fat stores. So you tend to be using up a lot more of those extra adipose tissue, usually have deeper sleep as well. You just got to try it and you need to build yourself into it. As you can see, there's all the benefits, pretty much opposite of eating an unbalanced diet, really. But even just start by maybe just starting to eat at, say, your first meals at 12 o'clock, for instance, and then your last, you know, 12 p.m., like lunchtime, and your last meal, say, like 7 or 8 o'clock. Then you sort of got that 8-hour window that you're kind of eating in. Just start there, and you might then be able to get yourself to a point where you periodically do that for a couple of days. Then you make sure you still have breakfast so that your metabolism doesn't slow down. And you can, you know, working with someone who knows what they're doing, highly recommend it doing some intermittent fasting. It is really, really powerful, not just on a physiological level, but also a psychological level as well. I'm just going to really jump to the chat. Awesome. What have we got here? Peter, can't see you, but I can hear you. Okay. Can't see you, but I can hear you. Can't see you either, but I can see you again now. Oh, okay. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay, guys, I'll really just bring the screen back up. All right. Can everyone see me okay? Yeah, thumbs up. Everyone can see me okay? You can hear me okay? Awesome. So when I click down here, you can see the screen. Can you see my slides? Can you see my slides when I click down? Yep. Awesome. Okay. Let's quickly have a look at a bit of quality control. Yep. Awesome. Okay. Thank you. Awesome. So continue to do that, guys. Like if I drop out for a second, don't leave me hanging just speaking to myself. You know, please just hit me up and just, yeah, especially the chat. It comes up as an alert on my screen, so the chat's good. So let me know if I do drop out for a second. Awesome. All right, let's move on to the next slide. So a really good example of how we can start to nutrition our body a little bit better is not necessarily looking at the government nutritional pyramid. Look, the reason being, if we look at the government nutritional pyramid, it will say that the highest amount of things that you want to have are carbohydrates and meat. Now, they actually are not that great for people that aren't moving much. And the truth of the matter is we're all not moving that much these days compared to what we used to. Unless you have like a labor-intensive job, we're moving less than we ever have in our lifetime. So in fact, we don't need to be eating as many carbohydrates as we should before. In fact, I would reduce, if you don't have an active job, or you're not training, doing weights and stuff like that, or high intensity exercise, you probably need to reduce your carbohydrates to about 20 to 30% of your diet maximum, absolutely maximum in terms of your micronutrients. You actually just don't need it. You just don't need it. So what you need to try and have more of in this is a great example, this pyramid. Try to have more vegetables because that's going to up your fiber, more fruit. And the meats that you do have, if you decide to eat meat, that's up to you. If you decide not to, that's up to you. Just make sure you're getting appropriate protein in your diet as well. But, you know, things like try to stay away from too much red meat. Make that sort of maybe something you have, you know, only maybe 1 or 2 times a week because it takes a long time for your body to break that down. Have more things like fish, I would recommend, is probably better. I've found that a lot of people I've worked with in the past, the pescatarian style of diet tends to work quite well for people. It's easier to digest, but of course you can have whatever other meats you want as well. Always try and go as organic as you can with your meats and your vegetables. It goes without saying. You don't want to have something that's pumped full of hormones. You don't want to necessarily have something that's been sprayed with heaps of different chemicals because that is all going into your body. The sort of carbohydrates you do want to have more sort of nuts, seeds, you know, more your oils and stuff that are going to be those good fats, avocados, and then instead of having lots of sauces, try and go more spices and stuff like that as well. That will generally reduce the sugar levels down quite significantly. And just by simply, you know, if you broke it down like this, where the bulk of your diet was mainly vegetables, then you had, you know, a little bit of more lean meats and fish and eggs, if that's what you're after as well. Making sure you're adding sort of, you know, more seeds and nuts to things to give you sort of more of that protein source. You can still have a little bit of rice and stuff like that, but go for more your low GI sort of style of rices. And then, you know, making sure you're using more spices opposed to using heaps of sauces. You'll find naturally you'll feel better, you'll digest food better. And if you're looking to lose a bit of body fat and you're moving yourself every day, looking for opportunities for movement, then naturally you'll find that you'll be able to eat more, be more nutrition, have more energy, and feel a lot better in the process. Awesome. So, you know, what sort of movement-based activity should I be doing? Well, you know, as human beings, we weren't actually made to do lots of weight training or anything like that. That's totally unnatural for human beings. There's nothing wrong with doing that sort of training though if you really enjoy it, and you need to periodically build yourself up to that. But you can see here, we're actually only made to do that in short doses, and we don't need to be doing them as often during the week as well. Lifting heavy things, you can see like 1 to 3 times a week. We don't need to be doing it all the time. And sprinting, we shouldn't be doing that all the time either. You look at human beings, we're not actually made to run that fast. Where compared to the rest of the animal kingdom, we're kind of clunky when it comes to like running fast, really. What we're actually made to do is move more frequently at a slower pace. Hunters and gatherers, obviously there'd be times where we would exert a lot of energy, like throwing a spear or something like that. But most of the time it'd be long duration walking. And even when you're walking, try to be off your phone. Because if you're off your phone, your eyes are kind of doing this. And when your eyes are doing this, it speeds up your metabolism as well. So hiking has so many benefits. Also, when you're looking at long duration exercise, it's fantastic for losing body fat, but also things that are more low impact, like swimming is great, cycling is great, those sort of things. Rowing is great. Yeah, look at different ways in which you can move your body always as well. Yoga is another great one as well. And you can see here, there's a relationship. The easier it kind of is, or like the less you like, the lower your heart rate is, the longer duration it'll take to burn a certain amount of calories, right? The higher your heart rate is, then the same calories can be burned in a shorter amount of time. So based upon your lifestyle, based upon your health and fitness to date, would really look at where you need to start. But just start. You know, if it just means walking around the block, start doing that. But it's all about how can I have a balanced movement program. But also making time for stillness is just as important as I go into this next slide. So stillness ultimately is motion. We actually recover physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually when we rest, and we rest the body and quiet the mind. If you don't rest, you're definitely going to be forced to take time off due to sickness, burnout, and injury. You need to have rest periods. You cannot bypass it. So meditation, yoga, rest days, good sleep, massages, foam roller, mobility sessions should all be incorporated into a balanced program. And balance between good nutrition and having time for doing and being, having time for exercise and stillness is absolutely key. All right, let's really jump on the chat. Sam, food is huge for us. We know what we need to do, but with 5 kids who all want to eat something different, I find I get tired and I end up eating whatever is left over. Awesome, I'll give you some strategies around that as well. I started by doing 10,000 steps a day to jetty of beach walking. It's now a non-negotiable. Awesome. And that's it, guys. You just need to start where you're at, because little things over time turn into big things. And from little things, big things grow. You've heard the song before. It is true. You just need to get started. You need to start where you're at. What I found as a useful strategy, I'll just get, Sam, I'll just get you to pop your speaker on mute for now, if that's okay. Because it just can sometimes interrupt the quality of the sound when I'm speaking, if that's cool. So just make sure everyone's got their speaker on mute, if that's cool. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so when we're looking at nutrition and how when we've got kids and stuff like that, we need, the way that we can get around that is essentially to be ready to go. We need to have options that we can quickly make that are going to be nutritious and are going to be there for us. So sometimes it even is a little bit of prepping that we do on, say, on a Sunday or something like that, where we might chop up a heap of vegetables and, you know, maybe we roast them in the oven or something. We put them into some containers so that we can make like poke bowls where we can just, you know, pop some rice in. We can throw those vegetables in there. We can, you know, throw like a little bit of salmon or some tuna. There's some leafy greens in there. There's some tomatoes, a little bit of hummus or something like that. You can just make like a little pokey sort of bowl sort of thing. Do we know what I'm talking about there? Yeah. Or you can make like wraps and stuff like that, where you can have all those beautiful ingredients ready to go. The other thing that is really useful is if if it's taking a lot of time to go and shop for these things yourself, is potentially to look at something like HelloFresh, where the meals are sort of prepped for you. You know, they're calorie counted as well. You can, these are other options. Ideally, it's better if you can get, you know, your own sort of food and you can do your own sort of prepping, but there are places out there now that you can outsource that to as well. So I think doing the research, doing a little bit of prep on a Sunday, a little bit of planning and prepping on a Sunday, having some things in containers we can just whip things up quickly makes all the difference. Because when you're hungry, right? You know, making up some soups, making up some stews and stuff. You can make some really healthy stuff that's pretty much ready to go. And all you need to do is throw things in a pan. All you need to do is, you know, quickly throw things in a bowl, throw things in a wrap. It needs to be that accessible. So it's as simple as like grating up some zucchini, grating up some carrot, grating up some beetroot or something like that. To have them in little containers that you can just go boom, 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 throw some, you know, other little bits and pieces in there, throw your protein in, throw your leafy greens in, boom, it's ready to go. It needs to be that quick and that efficient. And then you'll find that when you do get hungry, you're kind of ready to go. So a little bit of prep on a Sunday that doesn't take that long makes a massive difference. Cool. Any questions about any of the stuff we just went through in terms of wellness, in terms of health, in terms of movement? If so, just pop your hand up or take yourself off mute and I'll happily answer any questions around that.